Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. There are a lot of words in the spoken language in every language that are extremely debilitating. They will create problems for you just by uttering them. I did a video earlier regarding language in general. This is just one of the words I had mentioned in it that get in the way of personal success. And of course, today, with the situation of so much isolation coming about because of the COVID-19 virus, okay, like this has been the word can't has been debilitating since way before COVID came out. Look at your own past. How many times have you turned around and when somebody said, asked you to do something, especially when you were a kid, asked you to do something, and your first reaction is, I can't do that. Okay. However, with training, like with practice, with effort, you found out, like, when you learn to ride a bike, assuming you learn to ride a bike, somebody would ask, can you ride a bike? And you go, I can't ride a bike. Well, I will give you this. When you started, you couldn't. It's kind of like when you're a tiny little munchkin, you cannot walk when you start. But there's very little in the world that cannot be done. There's a lot I would recommend not doing. The word can't itself, the moment you utter it, you bring in this wall in front of you that stops you from getting ahead. Now, when I was growing up, I was taught. My dad got us to recite a poem every single Sunday morning. Now, I could only ever remember one line in the poem, and that was a line that went, "Can't is a word that is foe to ambition." Now, there's a lot more to it. From my understanding, that poem was originally written by a actor long ago by the name of Danny Thomas. As far as I was told, he wrote it for his daughter. The thing with it was, and as we were always told when we were growing up, we were told, we get asked, do this, and I can't do that. Well, until you learn, until you find out and remember how to do something, I will absolutely agree with you. It's a little improbable you'll succeed. When you're learning to ride a bike, usually you get somebody else to show you, or you try time and again. I watched somebody one day at the park learning to ride, or not to ride, to walk on a tightrope. Now, it took a lot of practice, it takes a lot of work. Okay, but the moment you utter the word can't, you're giving in to this idea that it's essentially impossible, and that's a word we'll get to later in another video. Can't itself says, I don't have the ability, and I will grant you this. Most of the time, the ability is a problem to start with, but there are ways of learning virtually everything. There's a lot of things I recommend you don't do, but there is very little. You'll find when I'm talking, if you ever spend any time watching the videos or talking to me personally, when I make the miscalculation of saying I can't do something, 90% of the time or more, I'll stop myself mid sentence and do something to the effect of, well, I could do it, but I'm not going to. Or I actually can do it, but it's a bad idea. The reason being, when you take the word can't and you shift it just a little to can to, or just simply can, either one, it's only one letter difference. But when you shift that thinking, there is virtually nothing on the planet that you cannot accomplish. It will take effort, it undoubtedly will take time. The trick is find somebody that has done it successfully. For instance, if you desire to become a millionaire, okay, talk to a millionaire that has successfully done it. But remember the qualification there. Make sure it was successfully done in a way that you yourself would be comfortable doing it. Okay, becoming a millionaire by breaking the law just doesn't work well, at least not for me. The word can't itself simply says, essentially, in my opinion, it is simply the greatest excuse for not doing things, for whatever it is. Okay, there are a lot of people, they have an accident, and I do feel for them when they do, that go, I can't do it, I can't go any further. Now, for me, December 28th of 2018, I had the misfortune of having a pretty severe stroke. I call it severe because, well, I was bedridden and unable to speak. Now, I could have turned around and go, I can't go any further. Okay, I didn't have use of my left arm. Right, didn't have use of my left leg either. Which is really unfortunate considering my right leg was already bad. But I could have gone, I can't do it. Instead, what I did was I took the time to figure out how to get to retrain my hand, retrain my body so that I could do things. I'm still not back to where I desire to be, but it'll come with effort. The reality is it's a mindset thing. If you give in to the idea, and that's another word we'll get to later, but if you give in to the idea you cannot accomplish something, it will put a wall in front of you, and now you've got another barrier. In my opinion, it literally boils down to going, okay, everybody said I can't do it. I don't care. That and they are entitled to their opinion. I'm going to do it. Now, it does take time, it does take focus, and there are invariable numbers of barriers you may run into. Not the least of which is people around you going, you can't do that. Well, I'm living proof that there is very little that cannot be done. I think the biggest one I personally pulled off was being pronounced dead, shipped to the morgue, and I decided to walk out of the morgue. Okay, now that was verified by my father, who, sad to say, has passed away since. So, the reality of it for me is this. When people have a problem, doesn't matter what it is. Okay, there is now I don't have all the answers, but I have yet to see a problem. That's not entirely true. 99% of the problems out there that people placed before me, I find a way to work around it. Now, I've been working as a spiritual guide for, well, really 47 years now. Okay, so, absolutely, the trick with the word can't is take a look at what you desire to do, and there are ways of breaking things down to smaller jobs. It's invariably a question of take a look at smaller pieces. There's a there is an African proverb, I believe it's an African proverb, that goes, "How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time." Okay, the other ones that go hand in hand with that is, especially if you're focused on money, when you take care of the pennies, the dollars will take care of themselves. If you're looking at moving a mountain, like a whole pile of stuff, whether it's a little pile or a big one step at a time is what will happen. Well, that was cute English. Anyway, the time at this point is this. The world that was there is gone. So you have to look, it would be advisable for you to look at the way your life is going, much like I am, and go, what am I content with? Whatever you're not content with, that's what you start changing. And let's get away from the idea of, I can't change, or I can't do that. There's very little on the planet you can't do. Okay, that is the real catch to it. Anytime you use the word can't, in your mind and preferably out loud, catch yourself, go back and go, yes, I can do it. You may choose not to, but don't let yourself continue thinking in terms of not being, of it being a, I can't do it. The moment you utter the word can't, you draw that energy out of the spiritual plane into the material world, where it becomes manifest. That's when it becomes a problem. Thinking it, contrary to popular belief, does not seem to have as much of an impact as acting upon it. Okay, everybody has their doubts, myself included. You know, if you'd asked me 10 years ago, heck, if you'd asked me 5 years ago about my doing videos and talking to you in this fashion, I'd have told you I can't do it, in a sense. More to the point, I told you I won't do it. Well, here I am. So, bear with me on this. I am going to be bringing out more videos, so absolutely please take the time to listen to them, like my videos, subscribe to my channel so you can see as they come up. And together we'll figure out how to actually change or more to the point, create the new world before us. The old one, the one that you grew up with, it's gone. On that note, remember, there is very little in this world that you cannot do. So do your best to take that word can't and replace it with can. For the time being, I'm going to leave you with that. And we will catch up with you again, probably in the extremely near future. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sake, stay positive.